Okay, for this particular problem, same step, says find the rational and imaginary zeros. It's right in the instructions, so we know we're probably going to have an issue here with negatives under the radical sign. But again, I did my P's and Q's. You'll notice this is kind of a nice one because my denominator is 1, so it's literally any fraction I can make just 2 over 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 5 over 1, and 10 over 1 is the way I got this list over here. Now again, not all of these are my zeros, but these are a list of potential zeros that could happen. So again, we're going to cheat. We're going to use our calculator. I typed it in here. I look at my table and it looks like 5 is the only one that works. So I'll go ahead and do my synthetic division. I'm going to put 5 in the box here. I'll go ahead and drop my numbers down. Don't forget with the x cubed, 1 is the leading coefficient. That's the number I want for synthetic division. 7 and negative 10. Okay, first number drops straight down. This number will go here. This number will go here. This number will go here. And 1 drops in this place, and you'll remember that the bottom row is always multiplied by what's in the box. So here I get 5. Numbers drop straight down. I get negative 5 in this spot. Numbers drop straight down. And I get positive 10 here. And I know I'm on the right track because I get a remainder here of 0, and that's what I want. Okay, in factored form, so far, f of x equals, my first binomial is easy because I already know what the 0 is. It's 5. And the only thing that can go in this set of parentheses that would create a 0 is x minus 5. And hopefully you all see that if I put a 5 there, I would get a 0. All right, I'm going to turn this into a trinomial. I get x squared. I get minus x. I get plus 2. All right, and I already can kind of tell I'm going to have some issues with the factoring here. And my issues are, well, I know that it's got to be x and x to give me x squared. And I know my signs have to be the same, and this tells me they both need to be negatives, negative and negative. And my only options for 2 are 2 and 1, and those can be flip-flopped. And those are not going to produce a negative 1. That's negative 2x, that's negative 1x, that's negative 3 when they go together. So this is a scenario where it doesn't work, doesn't factor. Okay, but again, you'll notice over there in the upper right-hand corner, I have the quadratic formula. So the most I can factor this is what I have already. So x minus 5, and then x squared minus x plus 2. And that is as factored as I can get this problem, so that part's done. And then I'm going to rewrite my trinomial up here, x squared minus x plus 2. And this is where I get my a. So that's a. This negative 1 here is b. And this 2 here is c. And I slowly but surely plug the appropriate number in the appropriate spot. So minus, or it's negative b, but b is a negative, so it's 1 plus or minus b squared, so negative 1 squared, minus 4 times 1 times 2. All of this over 2 times 1. All right, I always start out by taking everything under this radical sign and making it into a number. So I know 1 squared is 1. And I'm going to go minus 4 times 2, which is 8. And I get 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 7 over 2. Okay, and we know that we're not allowed to have negatives under the radical sign, okay, unless we use imaginary numbers. And the imaginary number, we know, a little side note here, that the square root of negative 1 equals I. So I'm going to pull that negative out. And my answer's down here. I'm going to leave in radical form. So I know 5 is one of my zeros. And I've got 1 plus And I'm going to pull I times the square root of 7 over 2. That's one of my zeros. And I've got 1 minus I times the square root of 7 over 2. And those are my final answers. Now, if you combine these, that's fine as well. In fact, that's how I usually do it. If you wrote 5, comma, 1 plus and minus I square root of 7 divided by 2, that is the same thing.